let's do something fun here. And I wanted to do something where you have access to the data. So there is a nice jump help data set. Anything you bring in, it comes in a structured way. So you have columns, right? And the columns are the things we can bring into the graph builder. And Jump does a very nice job figuring out for you and also letting you adjust what type of data you're getting. So I've got all this name stuff, right? Categorical data, all these different movies. I have types of movies. I have the rating of the movies. I have something that's more continuous, and here it's by year. It's obviously we looked at the movies by year, and then I know how much they gross domestically and they gross worldwide. And then we have another categorical column with the director. And every row we have is a different movie. That's an observation. So the rows are my observations and the columns are my parameters. And this makes it easy for me to put things into Jump. So I am going to use this type of data to start to answer some questions. I've got a little version of this here. It's very similar to the one in the help file. I think I did create a new column where I also subtracted the worldwide from the domestic to get an international, but I don't think we're going to use that too much. But again, it's very easy to set up your data and get the information you need before you start graphing. But I will point out now that I would think in my graph, if Jump's going to be interactive with my graph, it would be nice when I hover over bars or hover over points to see what type of movie it is. So one thing you can do in Jump is you can label columns and they will highlight when you interact with where that row, in this case, that movie lies on the graph. So a tip and trick right off the bat is to label things. You can do it either through right-clicking into your data column and saying label it, or you can also get it from right-clicking in this little columns panel and labeling it. And you'll see it gives you the little indication. There's a little like a label tag on the end. And we did the same thing with year. And I'll show you how those two things come forward. But we're really ready to start to graph this. Now, what's one thing I might be interested in? I might be interested in, hey, what's the relationship between the type of movie and the rating? So I can go and pull up my graph builder. It's the first thing under your graph menu, and there it pops up. Okay, it's blank right now, but you can see all your columns are available right here to your left. You can see that it says drag variables into drop zones. So it's got a kind of a working area right in here. And then in this gray area, it has several, we call these landing zones. So here's a landing zone for y-axis. Here's a landing zone for the x-axis. It looks like there's special things over here like overlaying, coloring, and sizing. Looks like there's a group X and a group Y. To my left, there's even frequencies and pages. So there's a lot you can do just by dragging and dropping. And so let's go see what this would look like. So I'm interested in kind of type and rating, right? So I could put the type right here. And I just dragged it to the Y and dropped it. And it immediately gets me into, looks like a scatter plot. My default, I like the circles. So yours might be when you do yours, I think the real default is they're solid. They're solid points, but I like this for demoing, for showing, especially on Zoom. So I asked for this type of symbol, but they're easy to change. You can just right click up in here and change what kind of marker you want. If you'd rather them be solid, that's fine. It's all things you can change right on the legend that you have. I'll go back to my pretty little circles here. And now I can take the rating and I can put that on the y-axis. And I can just kind of see how these things scatter and group. And where there's more movies that have been launched. So that's kind of interesting. That's one possible view with this one. Now, you'll see up here, there's a whole bunch of icons. And these icons are bolded if the type of data that I put in here, I put in this rating in this type, it's basically highlighting all the ones that is possible for me to do, and it's shading in the one I've selected. So it defaulted to this points, or I call them scatter plots, but points. I could look at other types of charts. One of them that I think might work is this heat map. So I'm going to click on this heat map, and now it has given me similarly sized squares, all right? And it is coloring it by the count. So I can see which one has the highest count. So the ones in red look like they're closer to 35, right? The things in blue are closer to 0 over here. And you can right click in here and you can go and change the color scheme and how many levels. Again, just by right clicking on the axis, that's a tip. It's easy to do. But there's that overlay up here, and there's a color over here. And these two are used a lot. And this might be a good place for the color. What if I just don't want the count? What if I would like to see how many worldwide dollars? I want it shaded by the worldwide dollars. So I can bring that into the color. All I'm done is just, grabbed it, held my little left mouse key down, put it over into the color area, and then you drop it. And now I have those similar boxes, but now what's shaded in the box is being colored by what it looks like. And you can click over here and start to see some of the movies and some of the years. And it's even giving me the mean of what's in that square. So very easy to do these kind of views. Now, other things you can do, you can automatically change the titles. So I just put a custom view up here. I'll talk more about other things you can change with other types of graphs, but this looks pretty cool. And so I like this graph. I can say done right here. And what this does is when you click done, it toggles between what we call the controls and the finish view, right? Because this might be a view I want to copy, I would want to paste somewhere. You can right click under your red triangle. That's where you'll always get more information in JMP. And so under this graph builder, little bar here, I can click, see, I can say show control panel, then it opens back up, and then I can go and drag more things in and work with more things. Okay, so let's just, so very simple graph. I have this first graph open. I'm going to show you different ways of sharing as I go, but one thing I can do to share right now would be I can go under the red hotspot and I can save this script to my data table. And it's just reading off what was in my title. I kind of like that. I say, okay, oh, I accidentally closed it. Where is it? Oh, it got added to this script section in my data table. Now I'm in JMP 19, I have the latest view of the data tables, and so I've got a separate little tab for scripts and filters. You might not be seeing that if you're on 18, but it's still the same area, and your script will go into this area, and it's got a little green button now, and I can click on that green, sideways arrow, and it will replicate what I did. Basically, it saved all the clicking, all the background jump scripting that I did through dragging and dropping in the graph builder. It just replicates it at a click of a button. So I have one type of graph.